Sadiq Khan says young people will face the biggest impact if Britain votes to leave the European Union. The London Mayor delivered a speech in Brick Lane this morning, setting out his case for staying in the EU.
Polls show that remaining in the European Union is strongest among students and young people. They clearly and rightly see their future as better off in the European Union because they're the ones with the most to gain from remaining and the most to lose by leaving. From going on cultural exchanges, to opportunities to learn languages, from the choice to get funding for an apprenticeship, to studying or working abroad. Europe is their oyster, awash with opportunities. Opportunities like the Erasmus Student Exchange Programme, which has helped more than 200,000 British students study in European universities, something that would not happen if we weren't part of the European Union. So I urge every young person to get involved, get registered, have your say and decide your own future.
Now, speaking to London Live News, the Mayor explained why he believes young people in the capital should feel a personal connection to the Remain camp.
Well, young Londoners are European. They love us being a member of the European Union. They've seen the benefits in relation to cultural exchanges, studying in European cities. The fashion we wear is the best of Parisian fashion from Barcelona, from Milan, as well as London fashion as well. They've got mates whose countries of origin are Portugal or Spain or France or German. My worry is this: if you have a campaign that's sort of like the politics of fear, you know, if we remain in the EU, it will mean the end of time. If we leave the European Union, it will be the end of the world as we know it. People just think, well, you know what, you're talking rubbish, I'm not going to take part in this referendum. And my point to Londoners, particularly young Londoners, is this campaign's much more important than that. There's a patriotic case, there's a values-based argument why we should remain in the European Union. Get involved, get registered to vote and take part in the referendum.
Now, for a reaction to Mr Khan's comments, I'm joined by Rory Broomfield, director of the Better Off Out campaign. Lots of head shaking and huffing and puffing in the studio this lunchtime. Sadiq Khan says that leaving the EU sends a message to Europe, to the world, that our country wants to stand alone. Is that problematic?
Well, it's problematic in the sense that Sadiq Khan is trying to conflate Europe and the European Union. Europe is a fantastic continent full of a collection of countries and individuals that have their own ways of doing things and their own cultures. The European Union is an unaccountable bureaucracy, a layer of government that we don't really know or understand, yet has huge influence of the way we live our lives.
Talking of which, Sadiq mentioned the potential dire warnings of the consequences of leaving the EU, particularly on London businesses. As you say, we don't know what may happen. Is that a fair concern for him to have?
London is a global city. Capital is global, finance is global, and other services and goods that we sell around the world from London is global. Whether or not we wish to regionalise ourselves in a network or a club called the European Union, which will help make regulations regionally rather than globally, is up to the people of London and the United Kingdom. But my view is that London is a great city, it's a global city, and we should act globally rather than looking to regionalise ourselves within a EU club.
Act globally by leaving the EU. Have we got a bit too much of a nostalgic view of London, of Britain being a country which can stand alone aside from the European Union?
Well, I think we won't stand alone as such. We have plenty of global friends out there. We are the 5th largest economy in the world, but in terms of countries that have connections with the UK, whether it be language, whether it be law, whether it be finance and business in general. We have the Commonwealth, we have nearly 100 other global institutions that we are still part of and would be part of if we left the European Union. What the European Union does is regionalise things. It stops us from acting as global players, and in everything from business to immigration, it sets a standard which doesn't fit Britain or British values.
Are we not leaving ourselves at risk of a lot of uncertainty if we leave the EU and we have that period of attempting to negotiate where Britain stands within the world?
Well, there's a process after we leave the European Union. When we leave the European Union on June the 24th, or when we vote to leave on June the 23rd, we will be starting a process. It wouldn't be an event as such. And through that process, we'll be able to reclaim our seats at the World Trade Organization. We'll be able to have different relationships with the European Union. But indeed, that will take time. And for people who say it is an event as such, they aren't taking into account the larger picture, the bigger picture, indeed the global picture, which the UK is going to be part of.
We are fast running out of time, but Rory, a opinion poll out this week found that Londoners are by far more supportive of staying in the EU than anywhere else in the UK. Are you fighting a losing battle in the capital?
Not at all. I think very comfortable when we have the arguments and when we see the positive arguments for leaving the European Union against the quite negative arguments of remaining in the EU. I think people will stand up for opportunity and progress and stand up to vote leave on June the 23rd.